Greetings and happy full moon in Sagittarius. The full moon is exact at 12:43 a.m. Pacific time, and I am Marina Orms here with your Astro vibe for Wednesday, June 11th. So the full moon exact technically today at 12:43 a.m. So kind of Tuesday evening, night, and into Wednesday morning, we have really the night of the full moon, right? So we're enjoying the illumination, the reflection, something that comes to our awareness that we couldn't see previously. So notice how that is showing up in your life. And we've been talking about here the full moon being in Sagittarius, being ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is now in Cancer. So Jupiter is the sign of hope and beliefs and faith and optimism. And it really reminds us of the power of positive thinking. Now, if that was all it was, if we had nothing but positive thinking, we wouldn't have the opportunities that life brings to help us learn and grow. And so our limitations and things that don't feel so happy or hopeful is also part of our human journey. And like it or not, that's the way it is, right? We have that balance between understanding what's real and being real about it and not being in denial about what is happening that doesn't feel happy or hopeful, but at the same time recognizing that that needs to be balanced by our capacity to believe in something more, something better, something greater. So when we experience our limitations, when we experience things that feel frustrating, challenging, even sometimes that make us feel defeated, that is the moment, and that invitation there is to get stronger, right? To learn through the experience, but also to remember that there is something more on the other side, and that experience, that that metaphorical light at the end of the tunnel, that hope that we can experience even in the darkness, that hope is a really important part of our human journey, our evolutionary journey, and our creative process, which creativity can mean a lot of things, but one of the things it means is our capacity to have a different experience than the one we have currently, right? To create is to bring something into being, something that wasn't there before. And so when we think about being creative, we can also think about solving the problems that we are currently experiencing. So the places where we feel that frustration, where we feel the challenge, where we notice our limitations and what is not going well. We also have that capacity to imagine things going differently, better, uh, solving the problems, having the happiness, having the outcomes, having whatever it is that we can invite in for ourselves that is more positive, because we have the capacity to believe in something that doesn't exist yet. So there are a lot of layers to this, but part of this Sagittarius full moon is about believing that there is a brighter future, I guess, or a capacity, our capacity to be creative, our capacity to solve the problems we might be feeling the limitations of, and to have that experience of imagining those problems being solved, even when we don't yet see how that's going to happen. So it's an important part of our human journey to connect with our ability to imagine or to believe in or to have hope for the future, for the things we want to experience that we may feel like we're not experiencing in the moment. And so that Jupiter capacity for expansion, for hope, for optimism, for believing in a better future is an important part of our ability to continue to create, to figure it out, right? To get stronger, to grow through the experience of limitations, and ultimately to be part of creating something that works better in the long run. So, this full moon is reminding us about hope. It's teaching us to connect with our beliefs and to connect with our own capacity to have a different experience than we might be feeling in the moment, or than we might have, than what we might be afraid will happen. And so, I guess what I want to say is, and this is partly in response to one of the comments from yesterday's video about how it's that experience of having positive thinking, and then things don't go your way. Like, how is that helping to make a brighter future, right? So it's about that ability to imagine something better, and even when things don't go our way. So first of all, there's that balance, right? It's not just about positive thinking. If it were only about positive thinking and positive things happening, we wouldn't have the incredible human life lessons that we're here to learn. But when we can recognize that when things don't go our way, when things don't feel right, when we had hope and then we feel disappointed, that we have to have that ability to regroup, to find the positive, or to the ability to support ourselves, and the self-care that will allow us to be part of continuing to work on making things better. And sometimes it takes a long time, but that doesn't mean it's impossible, right? It does not mean it's impossible. And I have seen many processes over the 30 years I've been doing this work, where something that was just hard, really hard in someone's life journey, and dealing with difficult circumstances, and that continued setting of intentions, that continued willingness to show up, to keep believing in the future, to keep moving things forward. I've seen the power of how that can ultimately work out in really amazing ways. And it's always different. It's never what you thought it would be. But we can continue to stay grounded within our intentions, within our positive qualities that we want to put our energy, our resources, invest our time into, right? To believe in. And so we need that part of ourselves that can believe in something getting better. It doesn't mean we always feel that, and we don't, and we won't. And even on some of these really incredible journeys, there will be moments where you might feel not only disappointed, but just like, what is there left to give me hope? And sometimes you might really feel that darkness. But if you can keep going through that place and take care of yourself, and just sometimes all we can do is keep going and just show up the next day, and just, you know, keep taking one step in front of the next, even if we don't feel like we're going anywhere. Sometimes that's what we need to do. And this full moon is all about why it's important to do that, because there is that light at the end of the tunnel, even when you can't see it, even when you lose that capacity to believe in it. There is that need to keep going forward, because that's the only way forward is through. So that is what I have to say about today's full moon, and the full moon energy and the mood and the vibe of today is to ask yourself and look at where you might need to open to possibility, to take care of yourself, to get through times when you don't feel hopeful. Uh, and then how can you cultivate hope for yourself? What helps you? And there there are studies, right? There are actually things that help you feel more hopeful. And I don't know all of them off the top of my head right now, but it has to do with forming meaningful relationships, with getting engaged in ways that you feel like you're doing something. It has to do with offering, your own thoughts and your own ability to engage with others. Get engaged. That is the basic way to stay hopeful. And lo and behold, that is also the way that you can help move things forward, even when it doesn't feel like it. Remember how that thing that I talk about sometimes when uh, you have all this trillions of cells in your body. It's like 7 trillion or something cells that you have in your body, and each one is doing its little job. And it can't really see how it is making a difference for the whole. But of course, each one has to participate for the whole to function. So you get to be a little cell in the bigger whole, and you get to do your thing and find your way of staying engaged, of taking care of yourself, of being and doing things that are meaningful, that help you keep going, if nothing else. And maybe that's just feeling like you're not alone, feeling like there are others. So how can you get involved, build community, do something or participate in a way that you feel like you're making a difference, or at least it's something that helps you keep going. So those are the things that are on my mind around this Sagittarius full moon, especially as we are in the midst of the Mars Uranus square getting closer and closer to exact, the Jupiter Saturn square also getting closer and closer to exact. And so if you missed last Friday, June 6th, video that I shared about those two squares and the experience we're having of conflict, of frustration, of things showing up in the world, and conflicts surfacing, and challenges. So ego, power, who gets the attention. I recommend that video to help you kind of wrap your mind around what some of these energies are and why they are playing out the way they are. And then, of course, the Sagittarius full moon energy can help you see what you need to continue to believe in that light at the end of the tunnel, or if nothing else, to keep going even when it feels hard, or when you feel like you're in that more dark place. So hopefully you have those connections and can focus on your self-care, because it's really important that you keep going. All right, thanks for being here. I'm Marina Orms, and you can learn more about me at astrologyheals.com. I also have, and I will put in the description for this video, article on planets shifting signs in 2025. So all the meanings of all of the outer planets that are changing signs, as well as the dates. So those of you who are really interested in when these things happen, you can have all the dates there in one place. Super handy reference guide. So find the link to the 2025 planet guide in the description for this video. And part 2 will be coming out later this week, and that will have to do with the outer planet alignments, sextiles, squares, and conjunction of Neptune and Saturn, and more, that I will be sharing later this week. So if you haven't yet, go get a free account in my member site, and you'll be notified of when that post is available. Thanks so much for being here and subscribing. I appreciate you, and I'm here every day with astrology for unshakable self-care. See you next time.